What is up, comic fan? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. It's Sunday night. That means this is at week's end. The spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics and so much more. But before we get into any of that, check this out. Huge thank you to the channel sponsors, Big Time Collectibles, for sponsoring the monthly Legion Loot giveaway for the channel members. Be sure to check them out at bigtimecollectibles.com. And if you haven't already, you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook. And also, this coming Thursday, there will be a live Big Time Collectibles mystery box battle. They just did that Miko Suyon special edition run of mystery boxes. So everybody you see pictured on the screen there will be here live Thursday at 8 p.m. to open some boxes and to see who, if anybody, gets any of the big hits. And if you need anything cleaned or pressed, go ahead and hit up Justin Comics on Instagram. He can take care of you for as little as $10 a book. Do not forget to use that promo code WeAreLegion and take advantage of the special offer that he's got running right now. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm going to bring in that fuzzy face from the Orange Circle himself. We got new guy Ryan. What is going on, brother?
What is up, man? Excited to be here. Talk about all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely. Full transparency, I completely forgot about this show. I was just sitting, relaxing, reading. It's been a busy weekend. I remembered I had the show, but I forgot like once my evening got started. Just kind of sitting there getting lazy and getting hunkered into the couch. But I'm excited to be here.
All the time.
Yeah. And Chris, the comic vet, does have a busy weekend this weekend. He is not going to be able to make it tonight, but he will be back next week. So let's say hey to the people in the chat before we get started. We've got HMMMIDK. I don't know. I like that handle. He said, I really hope that Donnie cakes some stuff. Big notches in the building as always. Boom, boom. We are Legion. Paul Rogers, what is going on? Good evening to you. Got Brother John's Comics in the chat. What is good? Jeff Kendrick is up in the building. Hello, hello. Digger Jim is up in here. I'm excited about a couple months from now, I guess, April, May. Yeah, a couple months. We're going to Heroes Con and should be meeting Digger Jim and Brother John both for the first time at the Heroes Con. I'm really excited about that. Ryan supping everybody. Everyone remember the rule. The host is more than 5 minutes late. He owes everyone a comic. Lucky me. I
think that's true.
We'll meet our host for tonight, Ryan.
There we go. The dominoes are falling in place.
Yeah. I was going to watch on my phone, but it's acting up. Good old computer to the rescue. Johnny 5 Alive is sitting at 499 subs. So if you haven't checked him out already, go give him a look and bump him to 500. I think I am subscribed to Johnny 5 Alive. I'm like 99% sure. PC is always better. Greetings. Legion powers activate. Shape of a nerd? Absolutely. And what is going on to Rob's Fat Sacks of Comics is up in the building. Always happy to be repping some Rob up in here. He's one of the good ones. And I just opened something that he sent my way, and that video will be posting Tuesday to channel members with early access and Wednesday to everybody else. I was very excited to get it. It was super duper awesome. But, yeah. So getting right into it, just first things first, I wanted to talk about, and I know you're probably the worst person to even talk about it with, but did you watch the Thor teaser trailer that dropped this week that earned the spot on the thumbnail?
No, I heard that it came out. I think I saw John's Comic with Kids posted something about it.
Yeah. So it definitely came out, and it looks like the next
Definitely.
it looks like the next installment of Guardians of the Galaxy. People that enjoy Ragnarok are even more excited for this one. For me personally, I'm not. It didn't get me excited. I'm trying very, very hard to separate Disney Thor from what Thor is in my mind's eye, having grown up with Thor and just been a character I'm familiar with. The whole Disney direction of him isn't really my style, but I can tell that they're highly enjoyable films. People love them, and I would like to have that same reaction to them. So I'm trying to separate the two in my head somehow. And Jane Foster Thor did make an appearance in the trailer, so we are getting Natalie Portman will be wielding the original hammer that Hela shattered. It shows it with all the cracks and stuff in it, and she looked awesome. Like, she looked really cool in the suit and everything.
I've loved Natalie Portman ever since I saw her with Walmart Baby.
Walmart Baby? Is that the name of it?
It's called, I think, Where the Heart.
Where the Heart? I remember that movie. She knew that she was about to get left when the register rang up to her unlucky number. It's weird. I forgot that movie existed. Natalie Portman had a baby in Walmart.
It's not
I'm
that.
right here first.
Breaking news.
Scratch-off tickets. He must have won. He never came back. What's going on, Stephen C? Ryan is not in the car. Let's see. I'm the 500th subscriber. Awesome. So Johnny 5 Alive has hit that goal. That's awesome. Sounds a little boy running at the beginning. Oh, his real life son? I do see that Chris Hemsworth puts up some really cool stuff on social media with him and his kids and stuff, with his family. Some really funny stuff. But in the very opening of the trailer, you see like a young Thor running, and as he passes the tree, you see him age up. And then he passes the tree, he ages up. All right, so jumping to it. So for those that did not see it in the theater, it released on HBO Max this past week. So Ryan actually got to see it for the first time, and I have not spoken with him about it or gotten his opinion or his review of it, but I've been really interested in seeing his take on it. And he said he watched it today for the very first time, so it's fresh on the brain. So I would love to hear your full take on that.
Yeah. I mean, in no way do I think the movie was disappointing. I did have some things that I was like, that's kind of a little not quite my flavor, but overall, I was into it for Matt Reeves. As far as casting and all that, I was hands off, whatever. I trust Matt Reeves. And that's really what I was into this one for, and I think he, for the most part, delivered on that. So I'm pretty excited about, he built a universe in this one movie, there's so many different directions he can go. Ultimately for me, Catwoman stole the show. And so I can wait on the Batman 2. Where is Matt Reeves, the Catwoman at? That's what I want to see.
You're a little Catwoman biased though, I think. Maybe.
I try not to be, but honestly, she's probably the best Catwoman we've seen on screen, just because of the amount of character depth she has. It reminded me a lot of Ram V's Catwoman, where you have this very multifaceted character, and she has so many different angles that you can come at everything from, and so she's got the caretaker protector side. She has the lost little girl that yearns for her mother, and all of the issues there, all the connections she has to the mob because of that. And then you also have Catwoman, the superhero, dealing with her stuff with Batman. I love that the movie didn't really make her a damsel in distress. Batman saved her once, and she also saved him once. So you're kind of, one for one there. Yeah. So she never came off as a weak character or anything. She was always there for herself. And just the way that she wasn't a petty thief, even Christopher Nolan's stuff, Catwoman was more or less just a petty thief in that. And this one is no, she's trying to take care of people. She's trying to make a come up, and it's not all about just taking and stealing, you know, like there was a lot of depth to her character. Plus Zoe Kravitz, her performance was top notch. Like I was pretty mesmerized anytime she was on screen. You know, there was a lot of great performances in there, but I mean, she just like a lot of screen presence, you know, she really owned the movie for me.
What was your thoughts when they fired up the Batmobile for the first time? That's always my go-to question for people with this, because that scene was just
I think like that one probably would have hit a little harder in the theater for sure, because like the boom, just the whereas like you can tell
the power moment, like when you hear it just whining at first, and everyone just stops.
Yeah,
they're trying to figure out what
just like staring into that like blue light, just like what is going on over here, you know. And it's a great way, like again, like Matt Reeves, you know, building dramatic tension with just like it starting up and like being in the darkness, and you know what's in that darkness, but you don't exactly know what's coming. You know, like it builds great tension, you know, and then like it just the way it just like kind of is like poof, you're like, okay, that's an odd way to like release this tension. And then whenever he actually like takes off, you know, you're like, oh,
I love when he hopped the car at one time when everyone was standing there frozen in fear. He hopped it at him one time, like,
yeah. Yeah,
this ain't gonna be easy.
I really like, I mean, one thing I really like about Matt Reeves stuff, and like, you know, he really nailed it in this with like the gritty 90s look, very like down to earth, and you know, very like grounded style with like this gritty texture to everything. It just like feels grimy and dirty, like the underbelly of a city. But the other thing I like about his stuff is like the real kinetic action. I think that's where like Catwoman really took center stage. Like her fight moments, like holy crap! I was like, I want more of that. Batman, on the other hand, like none of it was bad. His action was good. It just wasn't quite great because he's a little more stiff and a little slower and stuff. You definitely feel the impacts of his hits much more than hers, but the speed she has behind everything just like really makes her come off really good on screen.
Yeah, she was really graceful. I think they did a good job like differentiating between the two as well. You know, they shouldn't, like, whether they got separate choreographers or the one that was in charge of it was just that good at his job. You know, this goes back to kind of what we'd spoken about probably, I think it was last week or the week before, with a complaint about just CGing unnecessary fight scenes when you can train actors to do things that a common person can't. And it's more impressive seeing them do it than watching a video game cut screen, more or less. You know, we see so much CG in movies that it's not impressive anymore. I mean, not as often, you know, it's just we're desensitized to it. So when you can get a real person to do feats of awesomeness, it really stands out.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, you know, as far as like vibes and stuff, comparing it to like what came before, you know, I think, you know, the sense of like groundedness that it has, and some of the filming techniques and stuff do remind me of like Christopher Nolan's trilogy there. But honestly, because of that soundtrack, like the score, oh man, that score felt like so Batman 89 to me. I was like, man, there's so many moments in here where I feel like Batman 89 right now, you know?
What did you, I know you're like really big into storytelling as well. And like, I don't know if you would have been able to like really notice all of it the first watch. It's a lot to keep up with, but what did you think of like the way that the story was actually built up and framed? Like you can see like a pattern to the story, the way it was bookended and stuff. Like I had a long time to think about it, look at it, like the intro narration and the outro, like the big introduction of Batman being the whole line of I am vengeance, and the whole outro of the movie, the final nail in the coffin of the final conflict was hearing the villain say I am vengeance and having to completely change. You know, it was so smart the way that story was actually formatted.
Yeah, I really liked it. I found myself, and like here's the thing, like I actually would have preferred some more narration. Like there's this problem with movies lately. They start with like the main character doing narration. It's like really cool and like makes like an interesting twist, and then they just drop it. And like you never get narration again, you know, or nothing that's at that level of interesting, you know. And so I was a little disappointed throughout the movie that we didn't get more of him like reading the books and then get his narration as he's just like, you know, you can tell he's reading but not reading out loud, and then narration over it, like him kind of piecing things together. I think that would have been really cool. but I also think that wouldn't lend to the sense of like universe he was building all in this one movie. You know, like you needed those other characters to have lines and have moments with them. Like, you know, instead of him just standing there looking at like that ledger and like kind of narrating and putting it all together and just like out the door, you know.
Yeah, he had
And
a
then
couple
like
of really good moments.
Gordon's just standing there like, so what just happened, you know, like.
Yeah, he did have a couple of really good moments, and like when he was like when he first came to the Batcave, and like he was taking out the eyepiece and going through the cipher and everything. Like he was just, but they really just did it to more like you pointed out to world build that character specifically to really unpack him for the viewers that are getting introduced to this Batman in this time frame for the first time, and how like the dedication to how dedicated he is to the Cal versus to Bruce Wayne and everything. But I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the tech and stuff. The way they didn't go like over the top futuristic, but it also wasn't like something I could make in my garage or something. You know, like there was this nice balance of like modern tech, but still like grounded enough that it felt authentic. I will say I liked Commissioner Gordon, but his character came off way too clean. I would like to see them, and I imagine they're going to get into this a little bit with that show if he's involved in it at all on HBO, the GCPD show or whatever. But I would definitely like to see more of his like internal conflict as like being a clean cop in a corrupt city. Oh, did they
drop that idea because they were looking at doing a Penguin and GCPD? I think they're just doing it as the Penguin show.
They're doing a Penguin show.
Yeah,
that's kind of rough.
Which
I liked him. I like the fact that they went with. Phenomenal. Yeah, I really liked that they went with like a more like classic mob villain and not like some overly characterized version of the Penguin. You know, like Danny DeVito was great, but like, come on, man, like. I'm glad that they went with something that wasn't just like meh, like all the time and like spinning umbrellas, you know. Like it was really cool that he was like a more grounded mob villain.
They even played into it when they kidnapped him just for just to question him about being the rat. How he had that little waddle till he was tied up.
Yeah.
Yes, Ryan just saw it for the first time today on HBO Max, getting his thoughts on it.
Oh, but yeah, Gordon, like he was just like so pure in a city that's so corrupt, you know. Like I guess since they're not going to do the show, well, I hope in the second one we get to see more of his like his home life and kind of the messiness of dealing with his family, but also like how difficult it is to be, you know, a good cop in a corrupt city like that, you know, because he came off just slightly too clean. I would also like to see a
lot of pull too somehow.
Huh?
He had a lot of pull too somehow, even with his superiors.
Yeah. Well, okay, this was another thing that annoyed me. Why did like every cop in that movie, why did they all talk like it's the most difficult thing to do in the world? It's like, this is so weird. Like everybody's like squeaking out words like they are struggling to talk.
I thought it was great.
Oh, there was a lot of like weird, and then they had like the bigger cop that what does he say? He's like, hey, you're going to want to see this. It's like, where did you come from? But yeah, like there was just like some voices and stuff that was like, man, it seems like they all have the same like difficulty speaking here or something. I would like to see, they could almost like open the next movie with like, I don't want to see like an origin story, but what I would like to see is Alfred dealing with the fallout of his parents' death and like kind of see him like go through the you know, taking over that role of like, how do I be a father to this kid that just lost his parents and like deal with that while also like having to wrap up all these loose ends with like, you know, who his parents really were and all this stuff. I think it'd be kind of cool to like give Alfred some more character development on that side of things.
Talking about his parents, dude, I was really excited to see the angle that they went with this because it was like, I mean, it's pulling on elements for modern comic wise, like elements that Jeff Johns touched on in his Earth One run. You saw traces of this in Sean Gordon Murphy's Curse of the White Knight, where they dive into like the big families of Gotham and their history and how tainted they actually are and everything. And they kind of inserted Thomas Elliott's father as the reporter that was in the middle of it. He lost his life. kind of introducing, if you would like to, like seeding Hush, if you wanted to use him in future installments, which I think that would be the ultimate end-all be-all way to go in this more grounded world, not having Batman's meta villains. I don't want any meta villains whatsoever. We need to keep it completely 2 feet on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, and like to that end, I thought whenever he flies and like clearly snaps his neck on that train, I was like, all right, that kind of takes me out of the moment because the rest of this movie's been so grounded. And so I was like, oh, that was a little rough, especially later when he takes his cowl off in the cave and you see that it is a soft cowl and not like, hard one. Then I'm like, okay, he's taking a lot of bullets to that thing, but it's supposed to be bulletproof, I guess. Then he like clearly snapped his neck. I mean,
I think the front sweat was reinforced. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah. I was like, that was whenever he like hit that train, the way that he rolls off of it and stuff. I was like, oh, that's a little
under the track
over the top. Yeah. But he like comes in and like straight like snap. I mean, there's no way you don't.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man moment. Just get up on my back, my back.
Yeah, I do like that he gets up and like limps off and stuff.
That whole scene though in the police station where he's having to leave in a hurry and gets to the top, like that was
Batman. Is it the Dark Knight or the first one? Whenever he has all the bats come in.
Yeah, that's
like that's definitely what it reminded me of.
Yeah, he gets up there and he pulls the cord and the wingsuit just comes up. But I like how scared he was when he first got to that. He knew what he was about to do, but he got like, I didn't think this through.
The other thing that kind of looked like I felt like took me out of it a little bit, and it's really a twofold thing. Like, one, the Riddler is like the shittiest bomb maker in that entire universe. Like, what the hell, man? You can't kill nobody with these bombs. But whatever, like, he's like, huh?
He did. He killed the guy who was wearing it.
Yeah, Coulson, that's the only one. But like Batman's literally like 3 feet from the guy and throws his hands up and is just like thrown back.
He had his helmet on. He had his cowl on.
His bulletproof cowl.
That was a little very small arms explosive. Batman was blown back and it put him out for however long it was before he woke up, in GCPD. So it did him damage, and he's completely reinforced.
Yeah, it just felt a little bad. And then, like, whenever Alfred, like, at the last moment throws in, it's like, and he's not dead. You're like, that kind of would have been an interesting take on this universe, to, like, kill Alfred in the first movie. I'm not opposed to killing characters.
I would have been a little bummed out about it. I'd like to get a chance to see Andy Serkis do something as Alfred. I don't mean, like, action-packed wise, but some, like, be a little more impactful. I'm not opposed to the idea of doing it. Alfred that's a good way to really.
At the same time, though, that would kind of like
reaction, but it's going to need to be something that really drives the plot. That wouldn't have really served a purpose at that point.
No, but like that could also like really free him up to kind of get into like the family stuff in the next movie, especially if they do go with like all the like Court of Owls stuff and all that, like really getting into the families of Gotham and the history of Gotham and all that stuff, and like. That kind of frees Alfred's character up to be in more like flashbacks and stuff. So he's still there, but like we're learning what he did in the moments after the parents were killed, because we know they're not clean, like we learned that in this movie. So we know they're not clean. So stuff had to happen whenever they were murdered, like Alfred had to go around, tie up some loose ends and make sure there was certain information that didn't get out and stuff, And so if you have Bruce like going through all that stuff, Andy Serkis can be in all kinds of like really badass flashbacks where he gets to do his acting as well as like they can CGI him into younger stuff because like he's awesome at that stuff, So like I feel like that'd be a great thing to do with him,
Yeah.
But I also feel like the fans would have like burned down the city at the end of that movie if he was dead.
It would have gone over weird. They've written it that way. It's kind of affects different people differently. And like for example, in Shadow War Alpha #1 here recently, we saw where Damian is still carrying a lot of guilt from it. Batman's not processed it fully in different times, and it impacted Dick in the most positive light as Alfred left his personal inheritance to Dick because when it comes down to it, like Dick is the next man up. so it was
Yeah.
rightfully left to the first son. But it was that was actually a phenomenal issue when Dick read that letter from Alfred. That was a tearjerker issue.
Nightwing 78.
It was somewhere around there.
Yeah, 78, 79, one of those.
So after beating that dead horse of the Batman, which I'm more than happy to do, round 3, the DC Comics vote for the story yourself. That this is the second year they've done it now. They introduce a large number of story concepts, and they don't give you any information about them other than the names of them practically. And we as the fans get to go and vote either on the DC Universe Infinite app. I think you can vote straight off of Instagram or Twitter. Is that a thing?
You can vote off of Twitter?
I don't know. Can't you vote more than just on the Infinite app? Because I could have sworn I said vote here, here, or here on something. But
as far as I know, it's just on the Infinite.
So that's where I've been.
The DC community. It's not technically part of Infinite, but yeah.
Yeah, that's where I've been voting, is the DC Comics community tab thing on the interwebs. But we're down to the final 4. There's 4 stories that remain after starting with, 16 stories or something?
Yeah, started 16, I think.
Yeah, we're down to the final 4. And 2 of my top 3 are still in the running. And I'm excited to announce that one of the stories is Constantine and the Demon, Vacation from Hell, written by Frank Allen, who I'm not familiar with at all, but I'm excited for an Etrigan Constantine story where we find that the demon is tethered to Constantine instead of Jason Blood. And unfortunately, it's going up against my second favorite pick, which is Suicide Squad Dark, where in this story, I think who was that written by? Zach Thompson. That's the one that and I don't really know the synopsis of that one. You know that off the top of your head?
Not specifically. I actually have the site pulled up. Oh, they don't have the synopsis right here though. But yeah, I mean it's got some twisted characters doing some twisted things.
So it's the villains of the magic related villains, because obviously Justice League Dark focuses on the magic centric characters in DC Comics together as a team, while Suicide Squad focuses on a team of villains that are taking those 2 concepts and bringing them together like butt cheeks to bring a Suicide Squad Dark. And it's supposed to be headed by a vampire Batman from one of the Elseworld universes, I believe. And then the other 2 that are going up against each other is Superboy, The Man of Tomorrow, written by Kenny Porter, and that's focusing on Connor Kent, black leather jacket and all. And then that one's going up against Green Lantern, Light at the End of Forever, which is a John Stewart-centric story. And it looks like it's got some of the interior art from one of the more recent. The last thing I read that looked like that was the Future State stuff with John Stewart. And the art's not really my style. I'm not really – I mean, we get tons of John Stewart stuff. He's like our standard Lantern. So any of the other 3 I have over that one at this point.
You want to know where we're at?
Let's hear it.
All right. So we got 2 hours left to vote, people. Get out there and vote. Constantine and the Demon is sitting at 60% over Suicide Squad Dark, 39%. So there's a missing percentage point there. Funny numbers, huh?
That's what happened last week. He was down by 20% and ended up winning.
And we also have Green Lantern, Light at the End of Forever. Why is it not showing me a percentage on that? Wait, did I not vote on that one? What the heck? Okay. Superboy, The Man of Tomorrow, is sitting at 64% over Green Lantern's Light at the End of Forever, 35%. So,
dude, that's impressive for a super title to be winning anything, because these days it seems like, I mean, for a while it seems like Superman's just fallen out of high favor. He's not anybody's real go-to or get excited about anymore. But maybe people say they want some more Connor Kent. The last great era with Connor Kent was really Jeff Johns' Teen Titan era. He's just kind of been squandered since.
I think the problem with Superman is he appeals to a very specific demographic, that being a slightly older demographic that's kind of had that life experience to understand where Superman's coming from. And so right now you have somebody like Philip Kennedy Johnson that's doing amazing things in that realm that really speaks to, people in that at that point in their life. Whereas I think the last couple of years they've tried to aim for a younger demographic, and he's just like a really hard character to pull off for people without enough life experience or family experience or whatever else to really understand where that character comes from.
Dude, but if anybody was going to try to see what Superman's all about and like a good story that's an opportunity to really like fall in love with the character, it's this current run. This War World Saga stuff is epic. Did you get caught up on action by any chance?
No, I'm still like way behind on that.
I'm excited for you to get caught up on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited because like the War World stuff has been like absolutely phenomenal. I still got to watch what's his name, Midnighter, go wreck shop on everybody, like all through the background of the name of Superman.
Yeah, that was my favorite issue so far because I just didn't see it coming, and it makes you kind of go back and just think about that. Yeah, now think about it, there were like red flags flying out of nowhere, and people were starting to get a little bit of hope. And Superman hasn't left this cage or this arena yet. What's going on?
Yeah, I kind of figured it out whenever he went to him, and Superman, he's like, no, they put me exactly where I want to be, and Midnighter's kind of like, all right, well, I'm gonna go take care of this my
down
way.
The core real quick. He's like, dude, if you do that, you'll kill everyone. He's like, I'm gonna go shut down the core real quick.
I was like, all right, I kind of see where Midnighter's going with this, but I've been excited for that issue longer than most people have even read it.
Yeah, you see his what is it, like his one-man charge to that moment and everything. It's awesome. He's such a fun character.
Yeah. Cool. He's just like so off the wall, He just never like he could be a like darker, grittier Peacemaker, like the HBO show Peacemaker, like that show, but with Midnighter, it would just be like darker and grittier, more like a dark comedy sort of thing,
Yeah. Yeah, he's nuts. Like he's legitimately nuts. I would be too in a person in his circumstances, though. Did you get a chance to read anything this week in general?
Yeah, I even picked up a couple physicals this week.
What?
I know, right? I'm selling out, man.
I don't think you're selling out. You're getting back on board.
So, I mean, 2 of the 3 are back issues technically, but
nothing wrong with
finally went and picked up my reserve copies of We Live. So I got black and white.
Nice.
And then I, of course, grabbed the second issue while I was in there.
That cover of Zodiac is awesome. Right. You might call me crazy, but I actually sat there and looked at all of those little pieces floating around him to see if Inaki might have gotten lazy and duplicated any of those pieces, just copy and pasted, and they are all 100% unique from each other.
Wow. I did not take the time to do that. I did look through there to see if there was like any reflections or anything in them, like to see if there might be like some kind of little hint within them to see what was going on. But I did not take the time to make sure they were all unique.
Well, I was kind of looking at the cover, doing the same thing, just kind of look at that. I thought like, wait, does this piece look like that one? No, it's different. Then I just sat there and tried to find 2 that were the same, and there's not. And I'm not going to say how long I looked for, so let's leave it at that.
I talked pretty extensively, and we interviewed them and everything, so no need to recap the first 2 issues there, but the first 2 issues. But this second issue, it kind of feels like the Batman, where like we are really like pumping out a universe at this point. Like there's a lot of different characters and aspects to this story. It's about to just like explode wide open, which also makes me wonder, like, it makes more sense what they were talking about in the interview we did with them, where he's talking about like how there was just like so much content, they needed the double issues and all that. At the same time, it has me a little concerned that they're going to be able to like bring it back home within 5 issues or whatever.
And there was also the return of Humbo in this issue as well, and we get to see where he's changed, evolved in the fallout from the last time we saw him in the volume 1 when they were kind of left for dead. They went out like heroes, and it was pretty cool how they kind of tied that in with content that was only introduced in this arc, with the mother cenotes, with the what is it called, the push?
Yeah,
How they
not the is it no the punch.
the punch, how they found their way to one of those cenotes and just fell in haphazardly, and that's what actually binded them. And I thought it was a great issue to kind of introduce it, because now we're actually seeing the effects of Tala going into it in the issue 1 Black.
Yeah,
So it's very well constructed, and I really like this issue a whole lot. I
yeah,
thought seeing that Humbo can like Hulk out basically into Alice.
yeah.
That was awesome.
That's what I was gonna say. He's basically the Hulk now, right? Because he's all like smart and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
he's much more scientisty than I remember. But he's also
Well,
got like this savage side of him that will just like wreck your world.
Well, just like how like this is like you said, I don't know how much you're going to try to dive in and break down every single character, but there's a lot that you can like extrapolate from that with Humbo going into the cenote as a kid, getting bonded with Alice, and he came right out of it as an aged up adult, just like the Palladians. Like he has like pure tap the punch where they're dialed into it in their own way. So who knows what that did even for his intellect as well. But it was really cool.
Yeah, I was really excited to see him back, and like the way they introduce him, like all the colorful like robes and stuff. And they're like, yeah, he said meet him here, but like we don't even know what's going on and stuff. And then it's just like hulks out and goes all like World War Hulk on them,
in the arena and everything.
That's awesome.
It's cool how much nature, because like that to me, like it looked like just all wild nature around him, just different animals that were bowing down to his supremacy as like the alpha and everything. So knowing that much of their danger in their mission comes from nature itself, why is he just sitting there? Why isn't he out there? Is it just like to that one little area kind of thing that he has kind of dominion, or what? But it would have been helpful if he was with the other crew that is the all human crew, the government military band that's all try to find their way to their own safer city that got horribly decimated.
Megalopolis 2, right?
Yeah, Megalopolis something.
2 is on their way to 9, right? And 9's like trying to figure out how they're going to stay alive because the shield keeps falling.
6 is afraid of 7 because 7, 8, 9.
There we go. Okay, yeah, I was going to get there eventually.
Yeah, that's all I can remember for certain. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. Like, there's a lot of names and new characters to keep up with.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They're like throwing a lot at us. And so, like, I really enjoyed it because, like I said, there's a ton of moving parts and it feels like it's really turning into this, like, universe. But at the same time, it's like, man, reading it once, like, there's so much stuff that I need to, like, go back and reread, like, 12 times in order to remember half of it.
I don't reread too many books. I did reread all of We Live, and I reread White and Black, and I found so much in it the second time. And another thing, we got introduced to Zodiac for the first time, and like he kind of has the ability, like a seer almost, like he can like have these visions, and
which was like so weird, right?
Yeah,
it was like a Benjamin Button kind of looking guy.
Yeah, from Total Recall, this little weird dude in some kind of vision world that kind of like what we found out is the visions that you're seeing, the setting that you're seeing is the actual thing that he's trying to interpret. The fact that they're walking and talking down a single path and lets them know that they don't have any options. It's just a one-way road that they're on. And it was kind of weird. There's so, like you said, so much. And I'm not sure how much they're going to try to flesh out in this one. Or just lean into knowing that there's a third volume. Yeah,
I love that too. Just like it kind of reminds me of like The Matrix, whenever he meets what's her face and the Oracle, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the real question is like, would you have knocked it over if I hadn't said anything?" And so like I'm starting to get those vibes with the whole path thing because he's like, "I got to go do this," and she's like, "But that's not the path I saw." And he's like, "Well, how do you know that that's the only path?" And so like. I'm like, yeah, like it's getting into like some more philosophical stuff on that level as well.
It really is. And so that's really all I have on We Live. It was straightforward. It leaves us hanging where it looks like the Tala's being having to be taken somewhere to get medical attention for her exposure to the punch, and it looks like they're being stalked by flying creatures, being ridden by other creatures. The entire convoy from the military branch has just been decimated pretty much by we don't even know yet. You just see that the entire population of the convoy is hanging on threads in the sky, and that's when they give us our little QR code too. I'm like, this is weird timing, man. What am I supposed to be feeling right now? So it is holding up. It's definitely holding up and meeting my expectations and keeping that that hopeful dread balance, you know.
Yeah, the first arc is like definitely like a lot more like straightforward. We're just gonna like follow these characters into this story, you know. And this one is like really just like building something bigger than itself and establishing that like we could just like keep going forever, you know. There's so many different directions to go from here.
Definitely. I know I have another one here that you read that dropped this week. I definitely cannot wait to talk to you about. And that's probably my read of the week, which is World's Finest, issue number 2 by Mark Waid and art by Dan Mora. This right here is comic books, superheroes at its absolute finest. No pun intended.
All the puns intended, man.
Puns
It's
intended.
the world's finest creative team on it at that, man.
This is a solid 9 out of 10 comic book right here.
Oh yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
So what did you think? You read 1 and 2 back to back. Give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't read a ton of like Batman, Superman team up stuff, but like, you know, for me, it's pretty cliche. Like, it's almost always like Superman gets nerfed with kryptonite, and then like something happens. You know, they even did it in Future State. You know, he gets stabbed with a kryptonite knife or whatever. So they like always nerf him down with kryptonite to like make Batman, you know, a realistic part of that story. You know, and so that's how that first issue was, and it was a lot of fun. But I really like the direction they went in this one, where it's like, no, we're gonna like throw magic at it, and so like he's still kind of nerfed to make it like fit into the world, but at the same time, you don't feel like they're just like leaning on that crutch of kryptonite, and so it forced them to get a lot more creative with the storytelling and what they're doing and everything, and it really blew me away. You know, Dan Mora's sequentials, like I'm never lost. I always know exactly what's going on. His character designs and everything are always top notch, of course. I thought the lettering was unique enough where it needed to be, but it was also invisible when it needed to be. And the color work is just like it all pops so perfectly. It's a good book all the way around the board, you know.
And Mark Waid is writing these characters in such a unique and familiar way all at the same time, and getting to play with this era that's of questionable time in the past. It's whenever you want it to be as the reader. You hear the characters that are involved, you decide where it is, because that's not actually relevant. You know, it's its own story. And they brought in Supergirl in this issue to help get Robin. They're going to go investigate something in the past. This team of they're Asian, but I don't know how long ago it was supposed to be or where exactly it is, but it was like a team that banded together to fight this magic entity long ago in the past, and they needed answers from them, so they're traveling back in time to go get it. And you have this fantastic scene where Supergirl is carrying Robin, and he just has his arms crossed the whole time, because they have this history, this backstory that wasn't seen in the pages of these books that is bleeding over into it.
That conversation, man, the way the word balloon, again, like even the lettering is top notch, because it's just like all laid out so perfectly to like you can imagine that kind of banter, you know.
Yeah,
that dynamic.
Like he's smugly just flying with his feet dangling, and she just quietly says, "Nice pants." He's like, "I'm trying them out." Well, we're on a mission. He goes, "I'm well aware," and then they go quiet for a second, and he finally goes, "It was an accident. How was I supposed to know there'd be a monkey there?" And she's like, "You were showing off," and we're left thinking, what in the hell could they have encountered? And my brain immediately went to like the 50s and 60s, the more like campy era in comics, and like the possibilities are limitless. It was just
They like ran into King Kong or something.
Yeah. They just kept going on with these little word balloons that just added no actual clues, just more questions. She followed up like the fountain was half empty. Like, I was in the circus. Like, how do these things connect?
Yes, and then from there, like, because the whole thing is like they're going to the past, they have to like go find the like the first person that ever used this artifact or whatever, and like the way they express the time travel is just like that page is beautiful. That layout, like the way it's just like all these different things, and you can see like all the connecting lines and everything. Like, absolutely amazing the way they handle time travel in this issue.
Yeah, it was definitely solid. And it kind of ends with everyone in hell. Like Felix Faust was the magician that Batman and Superman were squaring off against. He looks like another pawn of the actual villain entity that has not been fully revealed to us yet. And looks like Felix has drugged Batman and Superman to literal hell, and that's how the issue Cliff did its nice little cliffhanger. So, and it is important to note real quick that the Doom Patrol was also featured in this issue. They bled over from the story arc in the first one, and I know from solicitations or really just Dan Morris sharing the upcoming covers that Green Lantern Hal Jordan is on the way. So I'm hoping, I mentioned it, it's definitely looking like it. We should be able to see constant special guest appearances and hopefully from some lesser known characters. And whenever we end up in hell in DC Comics, my mind immediately goes to Etrigan. Like,
Etrigan.
I hope he is there.
So is that somebody already existing in the DC stuff, or is he new to this? Yeah. Nezha. That's the bad guy in this story.
I wasn't familiar with him at all.
Oh, okay.
Because with him, I wasn't familiar with that team that had stopped him in the past and imprisoned him because he's so powerful you cannot actually defeat him. You can only attempt to imprison him, which I think, like, again, classic superhero style here. You know, we're not aiming for death or anything final. You know, we can live to fight another day and thwart his attempt for now. Like, I thought that was, but I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, the question being, because like I don't know, I was under the impression he isn't in DC yet, but he is a traditional like Chinese mythological character.
Oh, cool.
And there's actually but usually, as far as I know, in that sense, like he's not necessarily portrayed as like a devil. So I don't know if they're playing on the exact same thing, but there is like a really pardon my French, but a badass animated movie on Netflix that they released in like 2018 or 2019 or something called Nezha, and it's his story. You know, basically like it's pretty good. But also we know the Monkey Prince is also another one of those characters from Chinese mythology that is kind of in public domain. So I'm also wondering if we're not going to see the Monkey Prince come over because he's like 3 or 4 issues deep now. So he's kind of part of the DC universe as well.
Batman cut his head off in issue 1.
I still need to read issue 2.
What a cliffhanger to not get back to.
I know, right? But I do like that character. That's the character Goku's based on.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Monkey Prince?
Yeah. The Monkey Prince is from the Journey to the West.
I don't know much about Dragon Ball Z, but I do know he does turn into an ape, doesn't he? Like, doesn't he have the power to turn into a giant monkey?
Under the full moon.
I saw that critically
or something like that.
I saw that critically acclaimed, loved by all, 5 out of 5 star movie Dragon Ball. Was it Dragon Ball Evolution? And he turns into a monkey at the end of that. That was, I remember that.
Bulma went to show off her TTs.
I keep my DVD copy of it because only the highest of quality up on a shelf. I can always see it right next to Avatar, the Last Airbender, which I legitimately like.
Dragon Ball
really get adopted by DC. Give me that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Can anything get more over the top than Akira Toriyama though? Like they'd have to nerf him to put him in DC.
And we see, like how you're mentioning that with the Superman and Batman always having to depower Superman a little bit to get him into a proper playing field. That's what they had to do with the Green Arrow, Green Lantern series, like that went for so long.
Yeah.
Like they had to play down Green Lantern's ability a lot.
Ability to just solve the problem.
I love Street Fighter. I was a kid when that came out. Absolutely love it. I actually have it on Blu-ray. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Which is basically Laserdisc, just
Yeah, just actually high quality. People back in the day paid extra money for giant discs for 480 picture quality. That's something. Just to say you had it on the disc, it was like no
When you
improvement.
put it in those terms.
Zero improvement.
I mean, when you say it like that.
Yeah, there was another book that came out this week that was highly talked about amongst people everywhere and universally disliked. But it was my favorite issue of the run so far, and that is Hulk #6 by Donnie Cates and Ryan Otley. And I think everybody had their fingers crossed, praying that they were going to retire on this book because Ryan, we talked about this. God, it has to be close to 8 months ago when they first announced that Donnie Cates was coming over to Hulk. And I said it, you can go back and I said it over and over again that it's going to be horrible. It's going to be just a hype machine and people are going to be running over to read Hulk for the first time thinking they're going to be able to get the next Null book and make $300 off of a comic book. And the character and the story is going to suffer for it. And that's exactly what has happened. We've gotten the most ridiculous run of Hulk that has ever existed. And we had 5 issues of pointless comic books where this one, we actually start to introduce concepts to a story where this, in my opinion, could have been issue 1 and we wouldn't have missed issue 1 through 5. There's nothing about those issues that would have been needed to start this story right here, straight out the gate. But what I did like about it is the fact that they introduced the concept of what Titan is. They teased it, and whenever you get into the whole different personalities of Hulk and their different abilities and the way that it plays into being a part of his consciousness, I always enjoy that stuff. That's part of what I like the Hulk. And what Titan is, he's literally the Hulk's Hulk. You know, if Banner gets mad, he turns into the Hulk. If you get the Hulk mad enough to a level that he's never been before, he evolves again into Titan. It was really a straightforward concept. So it's nothing really new. It's just taking what's been done. Like we have World Breaker Hulk and Savage. We have all these different Hulks that are based off of his anger level or different things that are going on that set off a certain personality, and that's what this was. So it felt Hulkish to me, if that makes sense. It felt familiar.
Kind of helps to have like tempered expectations, right?
Oh, dude, mine were very tempered, but a variant cover. Big thank you to Paul at the LCS for letting me know what's coming. Because I do like Hulk. When it comes down to it, I enjoy Hulk. I did not buy any exclusives or anything more than cover price books, but it's a cool image of Titan right there. I do like the design of him. Like it's almost like that he. If you take Hulk and mix him with Doomsday, that's kind of what he looks like, and it's not mad about that. He's got like these big spikes on his shoulders, and he literally he's like a 30-foot tall entity, which I thought was cool. Plays into the name Titan, and which was kind of funny is like 4 issues ago, me and Paul, the LCS owner, were talking about Hulk fighting these on a planet of all hulked out creatures. Where Thunderbolt Ross is like a tyrant dictator, and he's gammed out the whole planet. And he was fighting Spider-Man, who was like 40 feet tall, and Paul said it's like Attack on Titan, but with Spider-Man. And then we get 30-foot tall Hulk in this new form called Titan. But what people seem to be so mad about is it felt short-lived. Titan got triggered. He came out, but Banner inside of his subconscious, dealing with, like, you have 2 stories. You have what's happening in reality and what's going on in Banner's mind. And you get a visual representation of it in the story playing out, where an entity that looks like Betty is sabotaging everything that he's trying to do and triggers Titan, and he's able to regain control and kind of tone back down, and he ends up getting off of that planet that he's been on for 3 issues, hitting his little Starship Hulk jetpack and taking off through space to just continue his travel. And you see a hammer come flying at him where Thor's intercepting him. And we know that Banner versus Thor is coming as the next little mini event for the title, which I'm excited about. Who doesn't enjoy a Hulk versus Thor fight? Like I have no reason not to be excited. I still have proper balanced expectations. I'm not this one, but I'm hoping, so right now what I've seen is with issue 3, they teased Titan with him in like 3-4 panels just up in the sky, and Banner saying, what is that? Like, this is something new to me. In issue 6, we actually saw Titan emerge and explain what it is. So I'm hoping that by the end of this Banner war, they'll kind of like just tease it some more. I want them to do a slow roll out of it, but I don't want just pointless action with no substance in between it. That's my big complaint is there's no substance to the book whatsoever. And we got a little bit in this one. So that actually made me feel like this was the best issue. We had a Laserdisc player until March put a Pop-Tart. That's funny. Sounds like me, light bright, and my parents' VCR. Nice. Kaiju Hulk is next. Starship Hulk is an artist's dream. I don't see how. I mean, like maybe just working with Donnie Cates on the Hulk is an artist's dream because he's like, you just draw it. We don't need a story. Smash. I was thinking that exactly, Pops. Good old slobber knocker fight. It was
I hope that's not what it sounds like.
So this was the finale to the first story arc, and overall, like you can read issue 6 and not need anything else, and just kind of go from there. That's a good question, John. What flavor of Pop-Tart was it, Pops? And yeah, John, if you read World's Finest issue number 2, you've got a good working knowledge of DC Comics history. Did you recognize that villain that they're facing off with, that they're having to travel back in time, or any of those characters? I'd be curious to know.
That's not.
I only have 3 more pools from this week, and I'm going to go ahead and start with one while we got TJ up in the chat. But Flash, issue number 781. This is the first issue following the event where they were fighting Eclipso on Gemworld. So this was actually kind of just like a filler issue, but it was a filler issue with a ton of heart. We had Wally, for we don't know why, what reason, he showed up to the Teen Titans Academy and basically snuck Wallace out to go take him for an important mission, and they went down to South America to get some ice cream from a specific shop before it closed its doors forever. And it turns into a heartfelt conversation between the two of them of what it really means to be Kid Flash and how important it is, and even though you might not feel important. It kind of felt like it was a much-needed issue. Wallace isn't used in a lot of stuff, and where is his place really in comics, you know? So they actually touched on how it was for Wally when he was working with Barry, and how every now and then Barry would take him out on patrol, and then it'd be a long time before he came and got him for another patrol. And he started going out on his own, and eventually he started doing hero stuff on his own. And then eventually he accidentally ran into Barry in the middle of an event that was happening, and Barry didn't chastise him. He didn't do this. They just jumped in and started working together, and he found out like the importance of kind of being there kind of thing. And it was kind of just really reaffirming Wallace is in the right place, doing the right thing, and showing what it really means to be a Flash and how important the legacy of it truly is. And it was a cool issue. Do I care to see Wallace? No, Team Wally. But it actually kind of solidified it. I would be interested to see these two working together, though. And yeah. So I definitely would like to see more than teamed up like that. But I couldn't see myself just like attached to Wallace. Like I grew up with Wally as the Flash, so it's the only one I really like crave to see. Yeah, it was a cool issue. Having an excuse to draw Incredible Hulk battle against anyone without any build-up or explanation. I think that, yeah, I can see that. They could do that and just post it on Instagram for funsies. I want to see more Wallace, but I'm not a Titans reader. Yeah, well, a lot of people won't be here soon. Titans has like 2 more issues. There's an issue dropping next week, and then the final issue of the Teen Titans Academy run will be coming out next month. It's capping at 15, and I'm excited to see where we go from there. But I've enjoyed it. I know plenty of people. I don't want to say plenty of people. There's literally 2 channels that, in my ever quest to go debate with people who are toxic fan or toxic channels, I found 2 channels that like to crap on it with really no explanation why, other than the writer they don't feel can write a good comic, even though this is literally the first comic he's worked on.
I mean, there's definitely been some less than stellar issues of Teen Titans Academy, but I like the concept, and I wish it had played out a lot stronger than it did. But there's a lot of really good issues in there too.
I don't know. don't know. I do know that HBO Max has supposedly got a Aquaman: The Becoming project in the works with Charlize Theron attached as a producer for it. It's supposed to be coming, which I'm all in for. I like Jackson. But it seemed Titans Academy explained why the Titans were studying where they were in the Flash book. Yes, absolutely. Red X destroyed the tower. He absolutely destroyed the entire tower. The Red X underling that was implanted inside of the academy was named Brick, and he had massive amount of meta ability to make like energy projection blasts, and he had a moment standing dead center in the building and just fired off, and just the whole building collapsed. It critically injured Cyborg and Beast Boy. They are currently on an operating table fighting for their life with Raven and everyone else who has a medical or scientific brain trying to save them. And then in the next issue, we see them in a fallout house, like a safe house, where they're just trying to regroup and go from there. So that's why they were in that.
They should call in the Doom Patrol.
They should. They should. Yeah, I've enjoyed Teen Titans Academy. I'm not crazy. They had those 4 issues where we stepped away from like really pushing the plot just to hang out with those new recruits. I think they were. I mean, you introduce them, you got to do something with them, like otherwise people would complain about the opposite. They say, you bring these characters, then you don't flush them out or do anything with them, blah, blah, blah. But you giving you a chance to see if you like the characters or not. Literal, I'll drop. Yeah. Next book up, I'm saving Nice House for last. Power Rangers, issue number 18 from Ryan Parrott. I am so sick of the Omega Rangers. I don't know why. I'm over them. Completely over them. They're just hanging out, being an intergalactic police force now. They're still on Safe Haven, but they're putting the word out that we'll come to you and we'll be your police. It's almost like the Green Lantern Corps, more or less. And yeah, it's really not much to it. They just have a little mission where they go off and respond to a distress call, and they get into a fight with a big dragon-looking thing, all to find that Andros is there. So the whole issue was just to kind of bring Andros into the series, which is cool. Which I just want them to just turn them into Zeo Rangers. Why do they have to be Omega Rangers? Why can't we have Zeo Rangers? Ryan Parrott is trying really hard to introduce new concepts to like solidify himself in the legacy of the Rangers when their real legacy is a lot cooler to me. For me, like
honestly, I think he's kind of like shackled. Boom Studios in general is kind of shackled by fans, by traditional classic fans, and it's becoming a real problem because all they can really do is keep like regurgitating what they're doing.
I think Mighty Morphin, you're not caught up with Rangers, are you?
The comics, no.
Yeah, so
I'm pretty much like at the very beginning of the Eltarian War.
We're in completely new territory. Like Ryan Parrott did phenomenal with the Eltarian War. What it is we've been hanging out with this Mighty Morphin team for we're up to it's gotta be like 90 issues or something almost, because it's split into 2 series, and I'm just going with legacy numbering because it's just one story. But dude, we need the Zeo Rangers. We got the Thunder Megazords. Like, why are we still here? That's all it is for me. I'm just ready to get that next step. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's those classic Mighty Morphin Rangers, like season 1. Everybody wants season 1. Like that's the biggest demographic that's buying the books.
Look at Pops with a hot take. Andros over Tommy. Now I'm going to tell you right now, Pops is he is a diehard Ranger fan as well. He has watched, minus like the brand new Netflix one, he has sat down and he has watched all of them. He is I think it's Power Rangers in Space was his favorite one with the big finale. I guess it was Andros in that big finale. I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Dino Fury lately, and Turbo is a rough season. I've been on Dino Fury lately, and it's just it's absolutely awesome what they're doing these days with Rangers. The CGI for TV, especially low budget TV is there now, and so you get just really cool stuff like that. you get these amazing like character development stuff that they're doing now that they really understand how to write, recycled footage and stuff like that, and write the whole season out.
Their alpha is so weird though, like the little robo dinosaur person, isn't that?
Oh
that?
yeah. Solar.
That's
Yeah.
in Time Force.
Yeah.
No, that is
Time Force is a well-regarded season. Yeah, and it's weird because I like Super Sentai is actually better. So there's a hot take for you.
Dude, that the lore in the Super Sentai is a lot richer, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Like, with it actually going back to like people living with dinosaurs and having these mystic abilities that like connected them with nature and stuff. It was a lot grander.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed Ryu Soldier, the Japanese version of Dino Fury, and like I was a little hesitant to start watching it, but it's actually a really good season. They've done a really good job of kind of making it their own, and there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Last episode I watched, Lord Zed came back, and he wrecked shop for a minute there.
Paul went and converted it. Yeah, Flash makes a really good point. A lot of legacy and fan favorite brands suffer the same way. Creators can stray too far because the fan base wants the old stuff, but they want the old stuff to look and sound new. And that is a crazy balancing act, but it is something that if you're going to come in as a creator on something like this, you have to want to take that job. You want to attempt to find that balance. And that new writer for Mighty Morphin that just took over, we're 2 issues in with the new writer, and he's a long-standing Power Ranger fan. He's attached to a podcast that's been going for years or something, Ranger Station or something like that. But I've been heavily enjoying these 2 issues, though nothing major has happened yet. Just getting that writer's voice coming through these characters, which Ryan Parrott nails the characters just fine, but just getting a different writer also nailing the characters and just getting that. It feels
It's
fresh.
refreshing. Yeah.
I was talking to Steve. He's like, I don't like it. I'm like, dude, this is phenomenal. Like, this is so good. But I was telling him that it's 100% true. It feels nostalgic and it's completely new at the same time. Now, what is he going to continue to pull that off? We'll see. I don't know. But right now, it's just refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the problem, right? The show, like, the actors and the audience, like Power / Rangers.
I want an HBO Ranger show where they can have all sorts of R-rated material and great acting, but keep the Zord fights as people in cardboard. Oh, man.
Yeah. So, like, the show, like the actors, they age out and the audience ages out. And so the show gets the opportunity to move on. Comics, they can be the same age all the time, forever, And so you run into that problem where it just gets stale because the old fans, like, even though they're getting older, they still want what they remember when they were 6,
Mm-hmm.
The show, like, it was able to break those chains and kind of like move on. And that's why you get like some really cool stuff like Dino Fury, Like they still pay homage to what came before it, but at the same time, like they even show like scenes, like whenever Zed shows up with Serpentera and all that. Like all of that is like a scene in Dino Fury. They like have Ranger history and like they call on people from other seasons and stuff, like it's really cool the way they do like kind of a pseudo like fan service, but also like paying homage to the history that came before it and not just being your own thing. But they can also like go and do like these really cool new things like the saber battles they have and stuff now. Like it looks really
What are
cool.
your thoughts on what Netflix is doing where this is we're done with Dino Fury and all that, like they're with what they started, like they got full rights to do the Power Rangers show and now it's 100% original material. They're not sourcing and what do you call it, using the stock footage.
Mm-hmm.
But then they immediately decided that they're going to stop doing that and they're going to start working on their Power Ranger Universe project because they want to do a show and a movie. They have all these grand plans. And let's bring in real quick another Power Rangers nut job.
Morphin' time. Did someone say Power Rangers?
Yeah, we're talking about Netflix's future plans for Power Rangers. And Ryan's been catching up on Dino Fury and everything. And we've been really talking, kind of going deep on some Power Ranger stuff here.
I like to go deep.
That's kind of his thing. And if you give him the opportunity to go deep on a Power Ranger, he will go as deep as he can on Tommy every time.
He will find that power coin.
Last I checked, he was willing to go up and down on Tommy.
I'll tell you what. I'm uploading my interview with JDF early for the channel members right now for my channel, and it was possibly the okay. So obviously the exclusive was a big thing for me in comic books, and I've met him before. It was phenomenal, but to actually get to interview him and then the next day like get stuff signed and give me extra stuff, like it was. This weekend was magical. He asked if I wanted my shirt signed. I'm like, yeah. So he signed my shirt.
And then he was immediately like, "Wait, why are you unbuckling your pants?"
We left, and right after that, Panda goes, he signed your shirt. You pretty much just got your titties signed.
Yep, I was just thinking that.
I got this signed as well. I was going to get a CBCS, but honestly, right now, I think I'm just going to have it put up next to the other one that's signed by it because I want to look at it because I just got it signed.
Yeah, you want to live with it for a little bit.
I also have, he asked if I wanted this signed, which is my media pass. It's got my name, Burke Family 54 Comics has got his name on there. We have, this was really cool. He asked if
Eric Reed.
He asked if he wanted something specifically with Aria, and I said, yeah. And so he just gave this to us for free. He signed it for us, put to Aria, and then I don't have something for this yet, so it's in another thing here, but I got this signed as well because I wanted something with him where you could see his face as the Green Ranger. So I got that, and I got a bunch of photos as well. Obviously,
somebody's got to keep Sharpie in business.
It was just, I don't even, words can't even describe. Like I was telling Mike V and Panda, like money can't buy the memories that I got this weekend, interviewing him and getting all this stuff happening with my daughter as well, being there. It was magical. I don't even know what else to say. It was magical.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty jealous.
You've met him before. He's amazing. Like to be in person, he makes you feel like you're 3 minutes or however long you get with him. It feels, yeah, I do. It feels like a 10-minute like interaction. Like I don't know how to describe it. And I was more starstruck being by him than I was meeting Joey Fatone, which I hung out with. He's really awesome. Meeting Murph.
Honest question: why wouldn't you be more starstruck than Joey Fatone?
Dude, Joey Fatone.
That's actually an honest statement. Should be for anybody.
Yeah, well, I'm just
Murph
saying.
was cool. You met Murph from the Impractical Jokers, who's really close friends with Joey Fatone.
I talked to him one-on-one, just in the bar at the hotel for 5 minutes. It was so cool. It was so cool. And I asked him what his worst punishment was that he's had so far, and he said, "You guys haven't
Jumping out
seen
of the plane."
No, he said, "You guys haven't even seen it."
Out of the ones we've seen, it was definitely the skydiving.
So I was talking to him about the one where he's like talking to the audience, and every once in a while he'd walk out and his pants he had no pants on and they're all ripped and whatnot. That was really, really, really fun.
I like when they numbed his mouth and made him do the food show. Like he had had to eat the spaghetti and stuff in front of he had to do a cooking class, and they Novocained his mouth for it. It was hilarious. But real quick, back to it though. Netflix with their Power Ranger future projects, y'all have any idea what's going on with that or anything coming up with that? Because I've heard zero announcements other than they have big plans.
I haven't heard anything about it either. I didn't ask him about it. I probably should have. But what I can tell you based off his interaction, I think there is some plans for something because of how much Hasbro has a say in everything that he does and everything regarding Power Rangers. Now that could be just them wanting money from everything, but it could also be because they actually have plans for stuff. I didn't ask him, like I said, but when you guys see the video interview, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think he's fully invested right now in he's a great marketer. You know what I mean? He's really good at his job. So he's like heavily invested in pushing the Legend of the White Dragon thing, which is already done, and the affiliated comic series for it.
Yeah.
Like he's quick to try to bring that up.
He talked about both of those coming up as well, which was cool.
Yeah, I haven't heard any news on the Netflix stuff since they pretty much announced that they were going to do that. I forget the director that's attached to that, but he's kind of like show running, project running, all of that as well. But
For the Legend of the White Dragon?
no, he did another movie. I'm trying to think of it right now. But he's like kind of like head of all the like Netflix stuff that they're supposed to be developing. I'm kind of like mixed on it because he talks a lot about like what already was, and like like one thing that makes Super Sentai so awesome is that they're not beholden to anything. Like they don't have to worry about like what does this footage look like and what kind of story can we like create out of this. And that's what makes it so good is it's like cohesive all the time. It's not like all this like weird wonky cuts and stuff. But at the same time, like, so being able to create something original gives Netflix a lot of power to create something new and different, but they also talk a lot about the past. I'm like, if you stay too beholden to what came before, like we're just going to get the same thing over again.
Right.
So it could go either way. I'm kind of excited about it. I'm also a little hesitant to get too excited about it.
Steve, you read Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 18 for this week?
I did.
What were your thoughts on it? I just kind of breezed over that. Yeah, that was my thoughts. I'm kind of just over the Omega Rangers. They're kind of set up as just the concept of the Green Lanterns right now. They got a home base and they just wait for problems in the galaxy.
I just don't care. Yeah, like you said, I literally do not care anymore. And it sounds bad, and I like the team, but I don't care. I'm back to square one where I was from Necessary Evil, where I don't care. When we have a cat as a Power Ranger, and what is even happening?
It's Steve. What's up, X11 Bravo? What's going on, Kyle? Sorry, Steve.
Did you get me anything? I did not. I did get some stuff for me and the Burke family, so.
Nice. Yeah, whenever like Turbo kind of flops with like the Kid Ranger and stuff, you would think they'd stay away from going to other animals.
Yeah, Yellow's horrible because they kind of established him as kind of being a higher thinking being, especially like for a cat. You know what I mean? They really established that in that one issue.
Like here's some catnip.
Yeah, which was necessary. And in this issue, he's just mindless cat.
Right.
But it's goofy though. And again, like I know Steve's not as big of a fan as the art in Mighty Morphin right now, which I think is amazing for the series. It's like, especially with the colors on it, it's whoever that artist is that you like that did the Batman TMNT, and he's doing the Godzilla Power Ranger.
Freddie E. Williams.
So it doesn't like, it's not as eccentric as Freddie E. Williams. It's more tight than that. But just the way that they're doing the colors and stuff, I get like kind of those vibes from it. But then you look at that now that you have it, which I'm a fan of, and then you look at how they're drawing this with Yale, where he's just like a triangle on a square, right. Just a head on a body. It's like this is bad. This artwork is bad.
It's bad.
That sounds awful.
I'm just not a big fan of it. I just like Steve said, I'm having a hard time caring about what they're up to. But they did introduce Andros, so maybe they'll do something cool. I doubt it. But getting to
that was. But did that matter?
No, that's why I said maybe they'll do something cool.
But like, I didn't care. Like you said, like it's just we brought in Andros, right? And he's a Power Ranger in space. I don't care. I feel like all they're doing with that is like, okay, we're gonna put a little bit of Andros in there so we could sell a book later on, get people excited about that. But the problem is no one cares.
Yeah, Easter eggs without like context aren't beneficial to a story. I was having a conversation. I think it was Bart. He was messaging me earlier. He's like, dude, he's like, I caught up on Moon Knight and I watched some breakdown videos. There's so many Easter eggs. I'm like, yeah, but does it matter because you didn't see them or know that they were there until you watched the breakdown video? And even then, did they add anything to the story? No.
Nope.
Oh, but I got one book, and then if y'all want, we can talk Moon Knight episode 4 a little bit if you want. But last book is Nice House on the Lake. This is actually will be a pretty short review. You have that B cover and the A cover. It's one of the few series I pull both for because normally the B covers are really cool. Whereas Waldo almost like spoiler covers that you don't know what it's spoiling until after you read it. But this one was a wasted issue, to be honest with you. This has been such a strong story so far. It's been so good with so much content. In this issue, we are treading over existing territory. It was like reading Something is Killing the Children 21, where you've read this story. You've already had it in just small variation. So we have a 12-issue maxi series, and coming out of the break, Walter has restructured the house. They were getting too close to cracking the secrets and the code of the house, so he wiped their memories, restructured it, and planted himself as one of the members of the house and not this looming character over the house where they all know about him. He's trying to do it where it'll work. He's still trying to make this whole project a success. And we have a whole issue where they're all just trying to figure out what are we going to do for our daily routine and how are we going to manage just a standard life here. Like, we literally did this.
Again, I just don't care.
Yeah, like it was an issue where you're like, why aren't we really plot progressing here? And we did not have anything new added to this other than Walter is getting frustrated with how difficult it is to try to make this work out. And he did swap out one character. I think it's Nora. Mm-hmm. So now where we had one artist hidden away and one artist in the house where everybody has their own jobs, there are two artists that are in the house together, and they recognize the fact that we both serve the same purpose here. And one of them's like, I just feel like that makes me pointless. Why am I even here? And she's.
I was wondering if that was the only thing that was interesting to me.
Yeah, she's kind of, because of that, she's wandering around a little aimlessly, and we're back to that same scene when they first found Reggie in the building by himself, but it's Nora in the building. Like, we have the artist that's wandering around aimlessly because she doesn't know what her dynamic of the household is supposed to be, and she walks up to the building and she's putting her hand on the building, and of course Nora's on the other side and she can't see her, so it's literally the same thing. Just flip-flop two characters.
Sounds like an interesting concept that's really boring for the reader.
Yes. It's well, and my thing is with this, again, having so much content in it, so many potential angles to go and things to do, why are we doing this? Why are we spinning tires?
But also, they were very specific in the earlier issues, at least. I haven't read anything since the break ended, but in the earlier issues, they were very specific that they're two different types of artists. One's like a sculptor and one is a painter. So, like, that doesn't vary the dynamic at all?
It doesn't have anything to do with it.
There's like statues everywhere. Literally, like there's statues everywhere.
Exactly. So why aren't we looking at...
Why are we leaning into a sculptor being different from a painter?
You haven't read it since the break, so when you come back, Walter, like everything that they had worked toward was null and voided. Because Walter has the ability to erase your memory. He's done it numerous times in the past when they were all in college and those flashbacks. He would reveal himself to somebody. It wouldn't go right, so he would just take that moment away from him. He did that to the house. And now he's living inside the house with them. But he took Nora out and put her in Reggie's shed and let Reggie stay in the house. So all of them are going through the notions like 1 through 6 never happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, so something's got to pop fast now. Like
I said, I mean, it sounds like an interesting concept, but it just sounds really boring for the reader because as the viewer, like you're retreading the same ground all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where it sounds better than it actually is.
Yeah, it even sounded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Idea. Yeah, it does sound like an interesting idea, but it doesn't mean it was pulled off, like you guys were saying.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't.
That's sad because that'll be the second series that Tynan has disappointed me with.
Dude, it's just a single issue, though. Like, every other issue has been, like, high.
Maybe it's all set up for, like, the divergence in the next issue then.
Yeah, so if they have one off issue in 12, I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be mad at all. But as a single issue, this was the – Like, I go into this book excited, like really excited. I go in with my mind wide open. I'm
Yeah.
looking for every little thing. I'm hunting for clues, and yeah, I'm just I didn't get the opportunity to do that with this book because it wasn't there. But anyways, that was all the pulls I had from this week. Steve, did you read anything this week that you felt that you wanted to talk about?
I read just those 2 books because I don't have a comic shop, and so obviously I have the LDCS, and so
DCS.
that's all I had time for. And I had the big show this weekend, and so I was getting ready for that. So,
Coco Love Chevy up in here. What is going on?
Sounds like a
buddy?
rough week for comics in your world.
yeah,
Yeah,
I really.
world finest.
I have to ask you guys,
World finest. I cannot stress that enough.
What about, was Flash good this week, and was Nightwing good? That's what I want to know.
Flash was a filler issue, but it was done really well. Like, it was much needed. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. We're coming out of an event,
Okay.
But I have not read Nightwing. It was the only digital read, and I have not gotten around to it.
Okay. All right. I think that was all I had that came out this week that I would have gotten. So.
Yeah, I highly recommend maybe checking out World's Finest digitally and seeing if it's something that really talks to you. I think it really will. That book's got it all.
Well, okay, so what is with this book? Like, what makes it so good?
What, World's Finest?
Yeah.
It would be easier to describe what's wrong with it, which is
Nothing.
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 Like the story is absolutely phenomenal. Like, they're doing all kinds of just like really fun, like non-connected things. Like, it's telling a story from one issue to the other, but you don't have to worry about any of the universe outside of it. They're just like kind of doing like all these fun things that are very throwbacky to like, old school, like 40s, 50s, 60s kind of comics and stuff. The artwork is Dan Mora, so like, why not? Absolutely amazing.
Action packed.
Yeah, the action's great. Like, the amount of like energy that's in every panel. Like, I don't remember if it was the first or second issue, but there's a part where like Superman like is basically like overloading his power and stuff, and he like burns holes in his own hands and like screams out in pain, and the ground craters under him. And like, I swear to God, it felt like I was watching a movie. Like, you can feel the ground like crater under him because like Mora just kills it. Jordi Belair is on colors, and so it all just like pops. All the letter work is just perfectly done. It stands out when it needs to, but then at the same time, like, it's perfectly invisible when it needs to be. So, and again, World's Finest is like one of the best books on the shelves right now, and it's only 2 issues in.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't expect the second issue to be even better than the first issue.
Yes.
It was like, God. I read it. I'm just like, the whole time reading it, like, even in the face of their adversaries, I'm just smiling. I'm like, dude, this is so good. Like, when you just think, I just want a good comic book. I want a good comic book. They're like, here you go.
Like, it has depth, man. Like, I didn't tear up, but I damn near did whenever, all the stuff's going down and Batman is like, like he's, I guess, like, spoiler.
It is
they do surgery on Superman, and like Batman like gets really into it, and like goes in and kind of pulls him out, and it's like, whew, like, it's pretty intense, just like the level of relationship they build, and it's only the second issue. Like, in no way should it be like that powerful of a moment, but like, man, Batman, you can, like, just the way he's standing there, next to Robin, all stoic and stuff. Robin's like cracking jokes and stuff, and then he like looks at Batman, he's like, oh man, like, this is for real.
I am in the stream, Flash. I just saw you said that.
Man, step away with the daughter down for an nap and Burke is in the stream. That's what happens. I think what'll happen when you go do it again. But yeah, I think you'll love it, Steve. It's really good.
It's among the list of things that I need to read. I still need to read, what was it? It was the expansion on Infinite Crisis. What was that called?
Justice League Incarnate.
That's it. I need to read that.
It's just you might as well. They could have just kept the title the same. It's literally one story. There's no break in between one or the next. It's just the next issue. I think they're just wanting to keep it miniseries for some reason. What's going on? Comics with Bueller is up in the building.
What up, Bueller?
Jim Mint today, and I'm sure Bueller's reading World's Finest. Got to be reading it. Got to be reading it. But yeah. Moon Knight. Did you want to touch on that at all? I know Ryan's not watching it, and after tonight, you'll probably want even less to watch it.
No, I'm good.
That's exactly how I feel about it. No,
I don't want to talk about it at all.
Moon Knight wasn't an issue. Episode 4, they're just running around and Amet's tomb, and they get Mark Spector acting, or Stephen Grant acting goofy and sounding goofy and digging in the sarcophagus of Alexander the Great to pull out the little totem. He gets shot by Harrow, and in the midst of it, Lila is told by the bad guy that Mark killed her father, so she naturally takes the bad guy who's trying to destroy the world, takes him at his word, and ruins the whole operation and gets Mark Spector shot. And then they go into this ending inside of Mark's head, and it looks like he's in an insane asylum where the orderlies are played by the bad guys, and Harrow is the doctor that's trying to help him. It's been done in Batman comics a few times at this point, where it makes it look like Bruce Wayne is a patient in an insane asylum, and like the Joker's an orderly and blah blah blah. But then the hippo pops out at the end with a high-pitched Looney Tune voice and scares him. That's Moon Knight episode 4.
Yep. It was horrible. And I feel bad for people like Mark Spector Comics, where it's like his favorite show and like he's having to defend it, but it's just bad.
Well, this goes into the whole Easter egg things. Like if you're like hardlining with Moon Knight, and all that, I'm sure that you can watch it and enjoy it for different angles. But for me, I'm just watching it as a show with stories and the characters and all that stuff, and it's just
bad.
Super trash. It's bad to the point that like I haven't even bothered for the wife to watch it. After episode 2, I asked her one evening, like, do you want to try to watch Moon Knight? She said, is it good? I'm like, nope. She's like, well, absolutely not. And then episode 3 came out, so I feel like I really saved my wife's life, because had she watched episode 1 and 2, she would have probably wanted to watch episode 3. And that was probably the worst single episode of a comic show that's ever existed.
It's funny, it's like everyone is saying like episode 4 is the best one so far, and that's funny because
Moon Knight wasn't in it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are definitely enjoying it.
I had heard that they gave the first 4 as screeners, which is crazy because like it's only 6 episodes. So how are you going to do 4 as a screener? Like that's, it goes back to the thing. Like now we're all getting tired of like people telling us like the first season sucks, but once you get to the second season, it'll be your favorite show ever. And it's like, so I got to sit through like 26 episodes of garbage.
Right.
Like it feels like now Marvel's kind of gotten to that point where it's like, you got to watch 2/3 of the show, but then you're going to love it.
Right.
Like,
well, this plays into it a little bit. It seems like Moon Knight is a more complicated character than what they are able to show on screen up to this point. And I don't really think he's that complicated. Like nothing about it is really complicated. It's just the director's not doing a good job. It's the writing of the show and the directing of it. Like, again, if you can assume a lot of it and you can just add in the blanks and you can just extrapolate it from your own knowledge, like it fills in a lot of it. I'm able to do that with stuff that I recognize as bad, but I also enjoy. Just because something is bad doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. And that's kind of where this is. Like, there's a lot of unforgivable stuff that just really drags me out of it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. They choose a complicated story to tell unnecessarily without really doing any of it justice.
See, I think Disney's about to like mess up with this Obi-Wan Kenobi show or whatever too. Because
I saw that trailer. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, just the music and the atmosphere I was in. I'm like, this looks awesome. And then people that are like more familiar with like the expanded universe stuff, I'm like, dude, these people are mad.
I don't know about all that, but like they pushed it back the release back by like 2 days.
Mhm.
And in exchange for that, they're going to give you 2 of 6 episodes up front. This show is sold. Like, the fans are going to be there. Why would you take the fun of speculating week to week? Why would you eliminate a whole week of that? Why would you not get that momentum?
Lining up other projects or something. I don't know.
I mean, and on top of that, like, why is it not coming out on May 4th? Like, how ridiculous is that? Like, it's just like it's like little easy wins that Disney's just completely missing on right now. Why are they screening 4 episodes of Moon Knight? Why are they giving 2 episodes of a 6-episode show up front when the fans are going to be there for it? They don't need 2 to be bought in. You could drop 1 and everybody's going to watch it. Like, it's just like easy wins like that I feel like they're really missing right now, and it's kind of hurting a lot of their streaming stuff.
Right.
Exactly, Flash. Exactly. Like, it was probably Kathleen Kennedy, and she probably needed to be fired like 6 movies ago. Cannot stand that woman.
It's all about the journey. I like the journey. It is about the journey. I just hate if the journey consists of me getting hit in the face with a 2x4 all the time. That's how Moon Knight is felt. Again, there's just poor directing job that's just kind of ruining it. I think the same story on paper executed differently by somebody else would, the small differences that it would make in it would play to its strengths or more to its weaknesses, depending on who you have it do it. But this is the director that came out before the release of this show and started openly criticizing other directors for their works, and then he rolls this out, which no matter what anybody thinks of the show, you get an automatic win right now. Anything MCU gets an automatic W when it comes to
that's stupid.
Yeah, fan response and viewership, because the brand is sold right now. Until they make countless errors or people just get completely fed up and sick of it, you're guaranteed a W no matter what. Like Eternals was a financial success. And it was not.
That movie was trash.
Yeah, it wasn't well received at all.
It was really bad.
Automatic success, and they know that. So it's crazy to see that they're actually skimping on known talented creators. They're hiring cheap creators with little to no resume to come in and direct and stuff like that, which is odd. They're not skimping with Star Wars and save Boba Fett.
They're just making bad decisions with Star Wars. # fire Kathleen Kennedy.
I mean, we wanted Moon Knight to be brutal. Yeah, we haven't got there yet.
Not for the fans.
Journey was a great PSN game. We're going to go to Journey tomorrow night in Atlanta. I'm excited. Not about the Atlanta part, but going to see Journey, I'm excited. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. If y'all are good, it's close to 11, and I don't want to sit here and bash on Moon Knight.
Sounds like every book that came out this week kind of sucked.
What?
Outside of World's Finest.
Let me see. Hulk 6 kind of sucked. Nice House kind of sucked. Power Rangers kind of sucked. Flash wasn't bad. Hulk 6 again was the best issue of the run. Super low bar.
I was going to say, after everything that came before it, you went in with tempered expectations, and it consistently dropped them until 6 was good.
Yeah. But We Live #2 was fantastic, and World's Finest #2 was just standing to be the read of the month. We'll see how the rest of the month plays out. There's not much.
They had a bunch of We Live metal covers at the con.
Was it the Coco of Chevy just won a We Live metal cover on a giveaway not long ago? I know that those the metal ones for issue 1 of the first series, especially the green ones.
They didn't have any issue 1s. They only had issue 2, 3, 4, and then like second prints of 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You'd imagine.
That issue 1 green metal of the A cover, that's like a $300 to $400 book. After WandaVision and Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier, Disney Plus / Marvel knows they can pump out anything for people to watch. 100%. People are just excited. Like that's that shared universe. People don't want to miss out on something, and I can't remember. There was a comment I saw on a thread a couple of weeks back. Like, when it comes to MCU stuff, people are just going to clap like seals no matter what, and they'll be loud enough that they'll just keep dropping worse and worse content. And that's what we're seeing. I still am a firm believer that Disney has no creative vision for nothing. And the reason that MCU is getting so much more it's not just one-sided. People just aren't like, this was amazing, is because we are past the days of Marvel architecting what's happening. The Infinity Saga was completely handed to Disney. They bought that story. All those movies were laid out by Marvel before the buyout. Since then, Disney showing their Disney colors. Happened the same way with Star Wars. Like, they're not gonna miss every time. They're not gonna hit every time, but they're creatively bankrupt, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've landed the two things that sell in, the 2010s, 2020s. Subscription models and shared universes. If you have those two things, you can't go wrong. Like, you can't go bankrupt, because people are always going to watch everything you have, or they're going to consume everything you have because it's connected to your universe, and they're going to keep giving you money every month because they're subscribed for whatever is good that's there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't unsubscribe from Disney. I mean, my
kids
watch it like 900 times a day. I mean, Encanto, Turning Red, like all of this stuff, like they just watch it over and over again. I'm like, I don't even watch any of the like Marvel stuff on there, but I can't cancel it because
Finn doesn't like the Marvel stuff. I don't like I enjoy watching a lot of the Marvel stuff. Finn does not care one bit for it. If I turn on Batman, though, even Monkey, she'll want to watch Wonder Woman stuff and Batman stuff. Like, I don't know. It's and that's how I was fully exposed to all the heroes and stuff, and I just was more drawn to the larger than life ones. That was just how I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. My kids love Disney Plus, but they definitely get their fair share of HBO. As long as Iron Giant is on HBO Max, we will always have HBO Max. Yeah, I love that movie. It's so good. Finn absolutely loves it. He's seen it 1,000 times, and he's still like, that's where Finn learned about death. All sincerity, like when the hunter shot the deer, like that's when he learned about death. But yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I just dropped that video early.
We're gonna dip out of here and go watch Steve's interview with Jason David Frank and ignore the fact that he has an erection the entire time of the video. And if you don't know, Steve's channel does have a channel membership if you are interested in getting any of that content early, as do I, where my video for tomorrow, which is a Watchmen-related video, is already so, yes, channel membership is a great way to help out channels that do offer that. So be sure to check those out anytime you're watching some good content on YouTube that you enjoy.
Aggressive relaxing there.
The video on Nerd Erotic about the MCU that explains all of this and why it sucks. That's a channel that I found thanks to Max Von Priestley. Like, I love Max. He's a great dude. And yeah, he sent me over to, I think his name is Gary, that does Nerd Erotic. He is he can be a very negative Nancy, but he has very grounded reasons why. And he does dissect things. And I think I've seen this video where the success of Wonder Woman's ran Kevin Feige, and this is all on record in interviews. Like, he said that he was going to turn the MCU into more than 50% predominant female characters, and that because of the success of Wonder Woman. Like, it was and he's talked about it numerous times since then. Like, it's been revisited and stuff, and that's exactly where we are at this point.
Did nobody show him Wonder Woman 2?
I guess not. No matter what, like again, like some things, man, are just larger than life. You can make a bad Wonder Woman 2, and Wonder Woman is still more loved, world renowned, sought after, wanted than anything that the MCU will ever be able to put out. Wonder Woman just is. I hope everybody has a good night, and until next time, as always, I'm Mark, and I am looking for my outro. We are Legion.